Did China conquer Russia without firing a single shot? It's a bold question, but the answer might surprise you. In today's world, power isn't just about armies and borders. It's about who controls the flow of money, energy, and goods. And right now, we're witnessing a massive economic shift, one that's quietly reshaping the world order. Before the war in Ukraine, Russia played a balancing act. Europe was its biggest energy customer. The dollar and euro were its go-to currencies, and its companies were plugged into Western technology and finance. But then came the sanctions. They didn't break Russia overnight, but they started closing doors, one by one. As Europe turned away from Russian oil and gas, Moscow had to find a new buyer, and fast, who had the appetite and the infrastructure to absorb such massive amounts. The answer was China. Suddenly, pipelines that once flowed west were being redirected east. New long-term contracts were signed, often with significant discounts for China. This wasn't just a business deal, it was a lifeline. But it also meant Russia's entire export economy was now anchored to a single, dominant partner. When you have only one major customer, your bargaining power starts to shrink. The prices, the terms, the future of your most vital industry all become heavily influenced by the needs of that one buyer. This dependency didn't stop with energy. It seeped into the financial system too. To escape Western sanctions, Russia had to ditch the dollar and the euro for trade. The natural replacement, the Chinese yuan, trade settled in yuan, skyrocketed. Russian banks rushed to integrate with Chinese financial networks. On the surface, this looked like a smart move to dodge sanctions, but in reality, it was trading one dependency for another: Russia's access to cash, to international clearing systems, and to capital was now tied to Beijing's policies and the global strength of the yuan. It was a move for stability, but it came at the cost of flexibility. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Eurasia. For centuries, Central Asia was Russia's backyard, a region where Moscow held immense political and security influence. But while Russia was focused on military matters, China was busy building things: roads, railways, pipelines, and industrial parks, all part of its Belt and Road Initiative. These projects connected Central Asian countries directly to Chinese markets, bypassing the old Russian transit routes. Slowly but surely, the economic center of gravity in the region began to shift. Russia is still a major security player, no doubt. But in a world where economic power often trumps military might, its leverage is quietly eroding. China's influence is growing not through force, but through finance and infrastructure. Now, you might hear that Russia's economy has been surprisingly resilient against sanctions, and that's true to an extent. The country didn't collapse. But we have to be clear about something. Survival is not the same as autonomy. Russia's economy is still running, but it's running on a much shorter leash. Its choices are limited. It's locked into long-term contracts and infrastructure that all point in one direction: east. This isn't a temporary adjustment. These are structural changes that will shape Russia's future for decades. Think of it like this. If you are lost in the desert and one person offers you water, you're not being controlled, but you are dependent. Your immediate survival is secured, but your long-term path is set by the person holding the canteen. This whole situation is a masterclass in how power works in the 21st century. It's less about loud, explosive conflicts, and more about the quiet, incremental restructuring of global supply chains, financial systems, and trade networks. Russia's deepening economic bond with China wasn't part of some grand strategy from the start. It was a reaction to immense pressure, a consequence of being cut off from one side of the world and having to pivot to the other. In this new era of global fragmentation, aligning your economy with a major power isn't just a choice, it can be a necessity for survival. And as Russia is learning, survival often comes with hidden strings attached. So, has China conquered Russia? No, not in the traditional sense. But it has successfully drawn Russia into its economic orbit, creating a dependency that gives it immense leverage. This is the new face of global power competition, a quiet economic realignment happening right before our eyes. It's a story told not on the battlefield, but in trade data, currency flows, and pipeline maps. And it shows how, without firing a single shot, the architecture of global commerce can shift the balance of power for generations to come. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more analysis on the forces shaping our world. See you in the next one.